This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
She inspires us to be creative, and from that comes a lot of information about us and what we're thinking and maybe what we're dealing with. She is an art therapist. And I know there's many people out there will say, well, I'm not creative. I can't draw. I can't paint. We challenge you with that. You've got creative in you, but sometimes you're afraid to admit it. Sometimes we're afraid to even be creative for fear of judgment and so much more. She is our professional of the year. Barbara Robertson is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Steve, how are you?
I'm good. Are we all creative?
I really believe so. I think it's a fundamental human trait. And one reason I believe it is because creativity is actually adaptive problem solving. And our biological system is designed or has evolved in such a way as to try to maximize the likelihood of our survival so that we can maintain the species, continue to create human beings in the world. And because the situation is constantly evolving at the global level, at the national level, at the state level, at the community level, at the neighborhood level, in the family home, anywhere you choose to look, the situation is constantly evolving. And creativity is giving us a way of changing the perspective that we take in looking at something and looking at what needs to happen and coming up with a solution that's actually going to be beneficial.
So I just had a thought that everything goes back to fear. Everything we do is fear-based. We always want to feel safe. Why? We have fear. Do you think that many of us shy away from this word creativity because we have fear? It's not going to come out the way we want. People are going to judge it. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to do it at all.
Those two phrases that you just used, people are going to judge it. I'm not going to be happy with it. It's going to disappoint me. Those two things, I think, are some of the biggest positive action inhibitors in all of human history. And for good reason, really. I mean, even fear exists for a good reason, because fear, when it's appropriately responded to, does give us a leg up on surviving. So fear causes us to pay more attention to something that's happening. And the more attention we pay, the more we can focus on a real threat, the more options we might be able to access in order to continue to survive. But when fear takes over and becomes an aversive state in itself, rather than an alert system that says, hey, some action needs to happen here, maybe, and we don't really learn how to say, okay, this fear is disproportionate to the danger that might exist around me right now. My brain is responding to old patterns, and nothing like what happened that made me afraid in the past is happening now. So fear, I'm going to disregard you. Thanks for showing up. Take a break. Go relax in a hammock. I'm fine. You're fine. We're fine. So there's that aspect of it. And then there's also the extremely important, significant of feeling a sense of belonging, of being accepted by other human beings in your world. And that comes because we're pack animals. We need a pack. We need a community, a support network, other human beings in our sphere of existence in order to maximize our own likelihood of survival. We're not good just being out there being so, soldiers fighting for ourselves without any help or support.
Um,
So,
what do you think about, and this came to me based on what you just said. What do you think about
okay.
creating a relationship with fear within you? Like you just said, hey, thank you, fear, for showing up. I don't need you right now. You can be gone. Catch up with you later. Would that be impactful?
Yes, absolutely. I think that that's something that could benefit us all, and not just with fear. If we created a relationship with fear, a relationship with joy, a relationship with anxiety, with anticipation. I mean, anxiety can be, oh, I'm so anxious to get together with my friends, or I'm so anxious about having to take that exam. It can be positive anticipation or negative anticipation. But if we can have a relationship with whatever emotion is showing up, that allows us to, in a way, negotiate with it.
Do you feel that in a way we're creating our reality with fear? So, for example, you just said, hey, we're going to get together with a bunch of friends. Actually, I am tonight. I have a friend who's celebrating a birthday. A bunch of friends are all coming together. We're going to have dinner, going to see a show. Now, I could think, well, it's going to be a great night. We're all going to get together. The other part of me could think, well, what if it doesn't go well? What if they're not happy? What if there's drama between people?
Right.
And now you're walking into it that way, and you may even self sabotage it in that way. I'm using that as an
It can happen.
example, but it could be
Yeah,
the
it
same
can
thing.
happen. Absolutely.
I'm doing a watercolor painting. You know what? I heard Barbara. I'm going to do it. I never did it before. I'm going to buy some art supplies, not a big investment. I'm just going to do it. But what if it doesn't come out right? And what if I mess it up? And then I run out of paper because I did it so many times. And what if it's probably going to come out like crap? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say it because you willed it. You self sabotaged it. Is that even possible?
I do think it's possible. I do think it's possible because when we're so focused on the outcome of what we're doing, we forget that we're doing it to experience enjoyment. And, we don't really use the word joy or focus on the emotion of joy, but
Hmm.
I want to make sure that we notice that that word joy is right smack in the middle of enjoyment. And somehow it seems a little bit less risky to say, I enjoyed that than to say, that was a joyful experience. But sometimes when I'm creating with my paints, or I'm kind of getting into using some textiles and ribbons and some gold and silver leaf and other things that are shiny and glittery, when I put those things together in a way that just pleases my eye or pleases my heart, it really does kind of spark a moment of joy for me. I'm like, oh, look what's happening. Oh, look what I did. Oh, that looks really cool. And then I don't really worry about whether anybody else is going to like it or not.
Well, that's so important. And I wish I could go back. It's classic. What would you say to yourself as a kid? I would say, don't worry what people think. Forget about it. Don't stop doing that. But I did it. There's
Yeah.
many different reasons for that. I've identified them, over time. Um, but I want to go back to what you just said. Uh, enjoy and joyous, or however you phrase that. Uh, what's the difference and what are we afraid of there?
I think we're afraid that, you were talking about in your sort of imagined going down the rabbit hole of anxiety about getting together with friends. What if there's drama?
Hmm.
I think we're afraid that other people will see us as overly dramatic if we use language that is really strong. like joyous. I had a joyous session working with my paints and all my other stuff. I mean, we're afraid that that might sound a little wacky.
I agree. Like they'd be like, well, "What's up with them? What did they just take? Joyous?"
Exactly.
like, wow,
Exactly.
what?
Exactly. You
Are you
know, we're
walking on a
always kind of,
cloud over there because you did a painting? I mean, come on.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Like, are you so taken with yourself that anything you do sends you into ecstasy?
Right,
Well,
exactly.
not exactly, but I mean, yeah. And so we're always kind of trying to walk this middle zone of not being too much
Mm,
and not being too little.
mm,
But I'll tell you what I really have kind of discovered at this late zone of my life is that if we just focus on the experience we're having in the moment, it can be such a rich experience because it mutes the fear. It mutes that inner critic voice, that judgmental voice that tells us, oh, nobody's going to like that. Oh, look how muddy that watercolor is. Oh, you can't do it well at all. Oh, why bother? Throw those paints away. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Everybody's going to hate that stuff. Whatever, some of us have critics that are harsher than others.
sure.
I think sometimes it depends on what was the harshest thing we ever heard from someone else when we were too little to understand that they might have been having a bad day and it was nothing to do with us.
Hmm. Or
You know,
your
we often,
creativity as a kid got stifled, where you did a painting and you made the sky green. I don't know, just you were feeling it at that moment,
yep,
and then mom comes in and says, "You did a really good job on that." We know the sky's not green, though. We know it's not
right.
green. You know that, and it's coming from a good place. Your mom, dad, whatever. I don't know what.
It is coming from good intentions, I agree, but
Yeah.
sometimes it lands in such a hurtful way that it causes, young people to begin to doubt their own judgment. And there was something exciting for her about painting the sky green, maybe because it's never green, or maybe because she just saw The Wizard of Oz and the tornado makes the sky green, literally. I don't know if you've ever seen that happen, but that
Uh,
is exactly the color of the sky when there's a tornado in the neighborhood.
didn't know that. Just learned something. And what about the Northern Lights? Maybe the kids saw something, on TV.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Great.
I mean, there's sort of all kinds of reasons why any wacky color could be reality based, even if it's a symbolic reality. Green stands for joy for that child, and it was a joyful day. And so she painted the sky green. I mean, there can be all kinds of reasons for using color. But if that's the reason, that tells me she's listening in on her own heart.
Hmm. Hmm.
That says joy is green.
Well, I want to go back to something you said a second ago. Why we don't use those terms like that was painting, that was joyous. It was a joyful occasion. You might say, I enjoyed it. And you said we don't peak and we don't drop.
Yep.
We just kind of ride there. Well, because of fear of judgment,
There
maybe
you are again.
fear of feeling. Maybe you
Ah,
feel like you're not worthy enough to feel ultimate joy in doing that painting. So I'm going to take it down a notch and go right here. It's fear based.
I think that's a really good point. Fear of feeling.
Mm.
I really do. I think, we were talking about having a relationship with fear. I think that one of the things that would really have a positive impact on the quality of life every day would be for people to develop kind of an open relationship with emotions.
Oh, we were just talking about having a relationship with fear. What about emotions?
Yeah, I mean, what about having a relationship with joy that says, you know what? I get to have joy. I'm a person like any other human being on the face of the globe,
Mm.
and sometimes humans experience joy. So why would I really need to hide the fact that I had a joyous moment? And I think you're right. It's fear that, maybe we didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Or if we jinx it, if we say that was so joyous, that experience was just filled with joy for me, that will, get the universe's notice, and they'll recognize, whoever the universe is, that we've hit our critical mass of enjoyment for life, and that'll be that. We'll never experience it again. I mean, our imaginations can go all kinds of wacky places in the effort to protect us.
You said the word I was thinking when I was thinking it, deserve. Many of us feel we don't deserve it. We don't deserve to feel elevated joy. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. We don't feel that it's okay to feel that.
And that's sad.
Right?
That's sad. But you know what? A relationship with sadness might help us to recognize that when we're sad, our system, our inner system, is recognizing that there's something of value that we don't have enough access to right now. That's what sadness means. Something important, something of value is missing. And that's based on an essential belief that we deserve to be connected with that element of value.
Well, that's interesting to think, because even if you come from a place of feeling that you don't deserve certain things, if you're feeling sadness, essentially you do feel like you deserve something because you wouldn't have sadness.
That's right.
Make sense?
That's right. And because
Wow.
emotions come from a deeper place in us, kind of a subconscious place, not a cognitive thought, but a response of our whole system, mind, body, spirit, nervous system, the whole works. I think that emotions can be really significant kind of reckonings for us. Anger, I think, is also another misunderstood emotion, because anger is almost always a response to an injustice or unfairness. I think we get freaked out because anger is generally a very strong emotion, and it causes a lot of energy to go to our extremities, hands and feet. That's why little kids stomp and punch things, and bigger kids punch walls, make holes in the drywall, because that energy's got to go somewhere. But what is really underneath that is the sense that, hey, whatever the injustice is, that person or myself or the situation that is being treated or judged unfairly doesn't deserve to be disrespected in that way.
So is anger, let me rephrase that. Can anger just be anger, or is it always something else underneath it? It's really not anger.
Well, it's often right. Sometimes it's really identified as a secondary emotion, and feelings like sadness or hurt can really be underneath anger. And anger can be very empowering because it really gives us that surge of energy that makes us feel strong,
Yep.
when feeling disappointed or overlooked or disrespected makes us feel vulnerable. And us people here in the human species, we do not like to feel powerless or helpless. That is a feeling that we would like to avoid almost at any cost.
Learning a lot today. Going a little bit deeper, but I got to say, the sadness thing, I never thought of it that way. When you feel sadness, something is missing and you feel that you deserve more. And I'm trying to, in my mind, throw different scenarios that might back that up. But you're feeling sadness, let's say the loss of a parent. Just I'm going anywhere. What's the deserving part? You may say to yourself, well, I deserve to have my mom or dad, whatever it might be. it's there's a deserving there, even though you may not feel like you deserve things in life.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
If you're sort of thinking consciously about it, your inner sort of fear protection system might say, well, don't get too entitled.
right, right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it
Like
always kind of,
instead of
yeah,
saying I deserve a raise, I it, but probably not. I'm okay at work, but in reality, you're amazing. You deserve a raise, but you're not saying that it. But when it comes in the form, when sadness presents, you feel like you deserve something else. Would you say that's true in all sadness situations?
I would guess that some factor like that would be identifiable if you sort of dug deep enough in any situation.
I feel so too.
Because if we were indifferent about something, if the thing that is no longer present in our life was not something that was meaningful to us, we'd be indifferent to it and it wouldn't have any impact on our emotions.
Hmm. Wow. It's funny how this started talking about creativity and how we feel that we're not worthy of creativity and all of that, and now we've gone into um, a potpourri of emotions, all important, all connected to it, and it all comes back to therapy, creativity, art therapy, and such. Let's talk about, if we may, when you create something and how many of us focus on the end, the prize at the end, what it's going to look like when I'm done, instead of the journey.
Exactly, exactly. I spent a good number of years in my early art career doing art with the hope of impressing someone else.
Yep.
I wanted that identity. I wanted to be a capital R, real capital A artist in the art world. Again, capital letters, sort of official. I was looking outside for a kind of validation that I hadn't yet grown into being able to provide for myself.
Yep.
And it actually like threw a big bucket of cold water on my creative spark for quite a while. And I, just couldn't come up with anything that felt motivating to put down until I kind of went back to scribbling. And
Mm.
really, kind of realized that, oh man, when I do this, all I'm doing is letting my feelings flow out my fingertips and onto the page. And I started to experience my own emotions in the process of making marks on a surface.
Yep.
And that was so different from trying to do something, anticipating that it would please someone else. And then that would be a stepping stone towards something else, towards something else, towards something else. And it was such a different experience when I just paid attention to what lit my heart up.
Yep. I'm totally there with you. And it's through you that I realized when I was a kid, and I'm talking like 10, no, 9, 10, 11,
Yeah.
drawing cartoons in the basement. It was through you that I realized that that was my therapy. I never realized it. And then, from childhood being bullied, parents getting divorced when I was much younger, and all of that, that was really my therapy. But when I would create something or draw cartoons or whatever it might be, it was wanting to inspire or make people happy and get a reaction, feel good about what I did, because I guess I was missing at the time. But again, you go back to your younger self. Wish I could have said, just enjoy it, have fun with it. And to your point, when I used to just doodle on a pad, there's no judgment. It was just, oh, look at that, look what I did. Well, yeah, it was for me. It was for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want to completely devalue doing something to give other people pleasure. But I think the whole thing kind of depends on where your heart is when you're performing. Like if I think about a musician performing,
Hmm.
typically the people that really want to play music for other people are people who really do get joy out of creating music. And in that case, it's a way of sharing a gift as opposed to trying to earn admiration.
Mm.
So it kind of depends on, whether it's something that's transactional, you're trying to do this to get this back, or whether it's you offering your gift to the universe, and you're going to like playing music, or you're going to like painting images, or you're going to like creating cherry pies every weekend. Boy, I wish there was someone like that in my life. But
Apple pie was my grandmother. That's as soon
really,
as you said
really,
that, yeah.
yeah. And like, I mean, that's the point of that is that it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're doing it as a way of expressing what gives you joy or what you care about, what matters to you, there's something about that quality that goes into the thing you're creating and that other people can sense and receive from partaking in it, looking at the art, listening to the concert, eating the cherry pie. Oh my
Mm.
gosh.
Mm.
You know?
I love cherry pie. It's so underrated. It is. People don't order it
Yep.
normally. Oh, delicious.
Yep.
Um, there's been many times I've been at music venues. I'm not going to say concert, but music venues where somebody's performing, a group is performing, and they'll start doing some songs that are really off base. And when I say off base, not mainstream songs that others would know, but they're just doing their thing. And I look at them and I'm like, they're doing that because they want to do that. And they got the audience because the audience is going to hear the rest of the hits around it. But you can feel it that they're doing their own thing. This is their thing. And maybe it's partly they want the audience to experience these songs you might not know, but they're just going off on their own little world for a minute there or three.
That reminds me of one very memorable moment for me. We used to follow this kind of newgrass band. So there's a guitar player, a fiddle player, and a banjo player, along with a bass, sometimes a stand-up bass. But the guitar player had a string break. And while he was trying to replace the string on his guitar, the concert would have been just brought to a halt, except the banjo player and the fiddler decided that they would just kind of start riffing off of each other. And so the whole thing was spontaneous, kind of call and response between the two musicians. And it was the most riveting musical experience to listen to that I can remember. And I think because it was just something that they were so into, they didn't want the music to stop. They just were tuned in to playing their instrument and listening to each other and connecting. I mean, that was a part of it, is that these two musicians were connecting through music. And I think that invited the rest of us to feel connected with them. And that's the prize. That's the prize of all prizes.
Yeah, magical creative moment where it was just free. It like flowed out of them. Not to say it doesn't in other times, but they've played those other songs. They know how it's going to go. There's an element of safety there because they know how it's going to go. We've played it a million times. No.
Good point. Good point. They took a risk.
Yeah.
To just do something spontaneous in front of other people. But that's, I think, why the gift is such a value, because you've created connection among this whole group of people. Just spontaneously, it arose. It wasn't something that you ordered to go,
Yeah. Take a lesson, take a creative risk. And they did. And guess what? Years later, you remembered it and you're talking about it. It made that much of, right?
It was 15 or 20 years ago. It was a while back.
Yeah.
But they stay so vivid in us that I am feeling a little surge of joy in my heart, as though it was happening right now.
I feel like
immense pleasure.
I'm getting that from you. I'm feeling like, I wish I was there, and feel like how that went back and forth with him while, he's seeing the other guy change the string and, maybe he's trying to rush to get it done, or he's looking at his friends like, hey, you guys keep going. I'll take my time on this. And Wow.
I think he did. I think he relaxed and just took his time putting that string back on the guitar and kind of let it happen around him too.
Yeah.
It just was a beautiful moment of life experience. And that's what we open ourselves to when we decide that it's okay to maybe be a little bit less safe than we're used to.
Take a creative risk. It's going to be okay. It'll be all right.
That's right. Stick your toe over that edge of that comfort zone. Just a little bit. See what happens.
Wow. Learned a lot today in many different areas, connected to many different emotions, even the sadness thing. Going to be processing that for a while. This is what you do. Got a question? Want to reach out? Want to explore a different type of therapy? Robertson Art Therapy LLC.com. Or if you have a question or you want to share something you created, no judgment. Love to take a look at it. We've done that before. instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Thank you for today. I really mean that.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to just kind of get into what it is that gives me joy in what I do. Thanks.
Well, I enjoy it very much so. I appreciate it.
That's great.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.